Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello, girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host, Siggy, one of the WFA's educators and a women's online coach. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Ella, who's here helping women who lift and understand their hormones and menstrual cycle so they can optimize their body composition goals, whether they're in their 30s, whether they're in their 40s and beyond that. And we're all about education at the Women's Fitness Academy. And I thought, what a great way to have this conversation with you, Ella, today, especially not just coming from a women's perspective, but also a body comp prep coach. And I think this is something that a lot of women don't realize, that our hormones are affected by competing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very, very affected. So let's dive straight into it. What's your experience with body comp prep and your hormones?
Well, I started competing, I think, back in, oh my gosh, no, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was like 2014 or 2015. And I got into the fitness industry only a couple of years prior to that. And I started off, I think I led quite a different life prior to joining the fitness industry. And people would be quite shocked to hear the life that I had, weekend binge drinker, office worker, 20 a day smoker. When I say that out loud, I'm kind of like,
you're like, oh, was that me?
And when I arrived in Australia after being a backpacker, I traveled to Asia for close to 12 months, and I arrived in Australia, and it was just a different lifestyle. Like, everyone was walking around in active wear. There was people out doing things in the parks. Like, I was just coming from the UK. It was just so different. And I got into the fitness industry and started working under Hattie Boydell in the Sports Model Project. I was head coach of the Sports Model Project, and working with girls that were getting on stage, and me being their head coach, I had absolutely no idea what they were going through because I'd never competed before. And I was getting all these questions, what's peak week like? What's show day like? Am I going to be ready in time? Like, what's this, what's that? And I was like, I don't know. I need to experience this myself. So that's how I got into competing back in like 2015. And yeah, my experience with comp prep has just grown from that. Started with the ICN competitions and moving towards WBFF competitions and turning pro in 2019. So yeah. What else? What was the other question?
Well, in terms of managing your hormones around body comp days.
Yeah, so a big thing for me was tracking and being aware of my menstrual cycle. I was on hormonal birth control from dare I say, 13 or 14. And I just remember the fear being put into me about not getting pregnant. And a funny story, my mum actually went to see a palm reader or fortune teller, and she told her that I would be pregnant at 16. And you tell a 14, 15-year-old girl that, this mind reader or fortune teller has told you you're going to get pregnant. Oh my God, you can imagine how scared I was to absolutely not let that happen. Yeah. So I was just on hormonal birth control, the pill, the injection, and then later on the IUD, and coming off all of that and just becoming way more aware of my menstrual cycle, how it affected me, how it affected my mood, my energy, my training, my cravings, all of those things. That was probably the biggest thing. And that only happened, oh my God, when I was 30. That's crazy. I actually started to learn about my cycle and my body at the age of 30. Crazy.
It is. And it's unfortunate because they don't cover this at school.
No, and it's the fear mongering. It's you must go on the pill or you must have hormonal birth control because that's the safest option for you. They don't teach you, and I'm not that I can remember anyway. I don't know, maybe they did and I just didn't listen, but about ovulation, about fertility, really understanding what your menstrual cycle was, not just this inconvenient bleed every month, yes, which is all I remember it being.
Same. Yeah, Sam, I remember it being so inconvenient that my mum used to say it was such a burden on her to have her period. Yeah, and that's literally the first days of me realizing, oh, I have a period, but it's such a burden on my life for having it. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's insane. And I love the fact that you mentioned how you were on the pill for a long period of time, because I can relate to that. I was on the pill from a really young age as well, and I didn't get off it till like my mid-20s.
Yeah.
And you don't realize the changes that your body goes through once you come off it. And I think that's also another fear that a lot of women have when they are wanting to come off the birth control. So what are some of the experiences that, you went through after coming off the birth control?
Well, I never had any crazy irregular periods, but I obviously didn't give my body enough time to figure out what that actually looked like being on hormonal birth control, because it's not a natural cycle. You've got synthetic hormones that are suppressing ovulation. So the bleed that you have on the pill is not your real period, so you never really got to figure out, well, what did my cycle look like? Did I have the ups and downs? What was that looking like for me? So when I came off the IUD, was what I was on last, it was really just about tuning into the feedback that I was getting, rather than trying to push through training, when you're feeling like your energy's on the floor and you're dragging ass and you're just like, no, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And you're pushing. It's actually learning to pull back and listen to that feedback that your body's giving you each cycle. Am I tired because I am 5 days out from my period? Should I be deadlifting this week when my hips feel really lax, off the back of ovulation? My cravings are through the roof. Should I be dieting at this point, or is it an opportunity to actually pull some more calories back in? Because I'm going to be constantly battling with myself, battling with the hunger and battling with, oh, no, don't eat that. Oh, but I really want it. So it's just about, awareness and being able to tune into that feedback. And I think a lot of women struggle with that and they suppress it. It's like, oh, there's just something wrong with me, or I just need to push. The training program says I've got to train today, so that's what I've got to do, rather than going, well, hold on, what is my body actually telling me? Am I going to be better off taking an extra rest day and picking up that session the next day when my energy's picked up a little bit? It's just awareness around your cycle, awareness around what your body's telling you. That was the biggest thing for me.
And it's something that we don't get taught enough around, especially like body awareness, or having the mindset around knowing, hey, every day of our cycle is going to be completely different. It's not just in like the little blocks that we go through. It's literally like every day it changes. What are some things that have helped you gain a little bit more awareness around your cycle?
Tracking, just like tracking your diet, become aware of your habits around nutrition, exactly the same. Tracking my cycle, taking my waking body temperature every morning with a basal thermometer and tracking that in an app. And along with that, I can actually, just doing that daily habit of waking up, taking my temperature, tracking that in the app, starts my day with awareness around where I'm at. I'm like, oh, I'm day 14. I'm probably going to be ovulating if I haven't already done so. And then you're aware of that throughout the day when you start to get things popping up like, oh, yeah, my hips do feel a little bit lax, or I'm a little bit tired today. You're aware because you know where you're at with your cycle, rather than coming into it going, I think my period's due soon, but I'm not really sure, which I'm sure you would have heard 1,000 times with clients before. Oh, why am I so tired today? Oh, I just want to go eat the pantry. And you're like, hello, menses is on the cards for you. So it's just that daily habit of tracking my waking body temperature builds the awareness into how I'm actually feeling throughout the rest of the day, and awareness around what my body's going to be telling me and the feedback it gives me. So yeah, 100% tracking your cycle.
Yeah, tracking is a huge one. And I love the fact that you mentioned like we're tracking our foods. You want to be tracking your cycle as well to gain a little bit more awareness around that. And it's so interesting because we come across so many women who actually, obviously, as you mentioned, are not aware of their cycles, and they question themselves or guilt themselves going, oh my God, I'm craving so much food. I can't stop eating. It's just like,
what's wrong with me? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, always. Now, regarding reading your body temperature, I know this is a really big thing amongst coaches, but when it comes to clients, do you ever get this hesitation of, them wanting to do it? Because for some people, it's like a big deal to measure it on a daily basis.
Yeah, look, some clients do, some clients don't. They just prefer just to track their cycle in the app. I do try to encourage them because it is just that next level awareness, more data. The more you're aware, the more data you've got, the more you've got control over everything. Typically, or especially for when it's leading into like that PMS week, the week before your cycle, where hormones are just going on a bloody roller coaster, and you've got, irritability, fatigue, bloating, lack of energy, lack of motivation, increased appetite, increased cravings. Being aware of whether or not if you've ovulated, and that's what tracking your waking body temperature does. That little slight increase in body temperature is caused through or increased due to the hormone progesterone, and we only make progesterone when we ovulate. So knowing if you ovulate is really important, because that way you can actually establish with, well, is my PMS really heightened this month because I haven't ovulated? And then what can I do to ensure that I can ovulate more frequently? And that's just down to managing stress, whether that's dieting stress, lifestyle stress, or any other stress going on in life. So yeah, some do, some don't. I'll never force it on them, but I will always try to encourage, like, this is why you want to do this, and this is what you'll get out of that. And if you're really battling with your PMS leading into your cycle, just having that next level awareness as to why that might be happening due to maybe the lack of ovulation, you can then take those steps to manage that a little bit better each month. Rather than just accepting, this is my cycle every month, these are the PMS symptoms I experience, and I just have to deal with it, because you don't. There's things to do.
It's so true. And I'm glad that you really brought that up, because a lot of women will be in that cycle going, oh, it is what it is. I'll just work my way through it. I always get PMS. It's just like, that's a red flag. That is something is not right. You want to be diving deeper into understanding why this is happening.
Not just accepting it like, oh, this is my body, this is what it does every month. It's like, no, it's telling you something, and that's good feedback for you to take action to like improve it, make it better, so you don't have to deal with it.
It's huge. It's such a massive realization to understand that, hey, your PMS symptoms are because whether it's like, as you said, life stress, diet stress,
financial, home, whatever is going on.
Sleep. People don't, I really want to dive deep into this right now, because I think a lot of women don't realize how badly stress affects our progesterone. And like you said, with progesterone, it's not going to help you to ovulate. And then when you're not ovulating, you're going to get all these wonderful symptoms.
Yeah. I mean, and stress, there's good stress and bad stress, but the overall accumulation of that stress on the body is the same. So whether that's exercise stress, which is a good stress, or, dieting stress, which is a bad stress, how that accumulates on the body, you're going to have the same response. So it's just being able to manage that better. And again, knowing when to push, when to pull. Are you sleeping enough? Are you, working through? Are you like someone that just stresses over super anxious? Like, have you got things that you can work into your routine that's going to help you manage that a bit better? Taking frequent diet breaks from your dieting periods, so that you're not just constantly in this elevated stress state. It's not just like one thing, life stress, diet stress. It's accumulation of all of that we need to sort of work on, and having those strategies in place to help manage it, and know when to pull back and take that rest day, or take that day off work, or go top up your cup, say no to something because you've got way too much on your plate.
So funny that you mentioned saying no to something. I was literally pulling tarot cards earlier this morning.
Really?
And one of the cards came up and it said, I need to say no more often, which is really funny. Yeah, it's really fun because, I don't know about yourself, but with me, I tend to say yes to many, many things.
Yeah.
Then I regret it at the end of the day, and I just burn myself out.
Yeah, see, I'm really strict with my boundaries, and I don't say yes to anything if it's at the expense of one of my boundaries, like sleep, training, nutrition. Like if I can do all of those things for myself first, I'll say yes to somebody else to help them out. But I'm really strict with my boundaries.
I love that. It's a work in progress for me.
As always, there's always things to be having a work in progress, right?
I know, right? Back to the stress and progesterone. What are some positives that you've seen within clients that once they started making these changes in their lifestyle, the changes in their body awareness or even their cycle?
It's really down to the planning, and like anything, the more planned and organized you are, the less overwhelmed you're going to feel, regardless of what life is throwing you, what shit hits the fan at work, what thing you have to deal with at home with the kids. Your processes and your planning and your habits are all there to help you. And I feel like the biggest thing for women when they struggle is because they're like, I can deal with it, I can do it all, but there's no system in place to manage it. As soon as you've got some systems in place, everything else just feels much easier to manage. And I've actually got a client at the moment who is in menopause, who was like super stressed, super heightened. Everything was just hard, 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 hard. And the only things we changed with her lifestyle was her systems, and working in more rest days with her training, focusing on habits with her nutrition, saying no to things, and having those systems in place just to manage all of life things. That stress just became much easier to manage. Work became easier to manage. Life became easier to manage. We didn't just like overhaul her life. We just put some systems in place to help her. And I think most women can benefit from that, whether that's just prepping some food, keeping a consistent training time, saying no to things if it means, saying you can't do some of your own personal things, your boundaries, because as soon as you start letting those slip, you can just become a bit more anxious and overwhelmed with it.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And I can definitely say that there's been a handful of clients that have experienced that as well. Just the minor changes that you make just make a big impact on their lives.
Exactly. I mean, we make so many decisions throughout the day. So if you can pull back on having to make decisions around what to eat every couple of hours because you've meal prepped for the week. So you're not having to work out at lunch. Oh, where am I going to go? Oh, what am I eating today? Like, I'm now stuck in a meeting. God, I haven't eaten for like 7 hours, although I don't understand people that forget to eat.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm eating like every hour on the hour.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I love that. It's so important though for women to understand. And like you said, putting in systems in place, even though for some people it feels so
hard.
Yes.
I feel hard. But it gets easier, that initial bit of effort that you have to put in, once or twice a week on a Sunday and a Wednesday to shop, to meal prep, to put some food in the fridge so you can just grab and go, literally saves you time, effort, stress, worry for all the rest of the week, just putting that little bit of effort in initially. And I love batch cooking in the slow cooker or the pressure cooker because I'm like, I hate cooking. Like I love to eat, hate cooking, would rather not be in the kitchen. So if I can find things that allow me to have food ready in like the most efficient time possible, I'm all for it. And when you're in the kitchen and you're meal prepping, you want like all of the things on the go, the air fryer, the pressure cooker, the slow cooker, the oven, so that you're not just doing one thing. Get it all done in the fridge, done. That's you done for the week.
Exactly. And you know what? Most of the time it will take you an hour or two and that will save you so many hours throughout the week.
So many hours, but not just time, stress, calories, money. You're not then going out buying food and it's, just a couple of hours a week, ladies. That's all you need.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I've noticed this shift with a lot of clients that once they start putting systems in place, especially around food, they save so much money.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And then all of a sudden, the investment that they've made with you as a coach, which may initially be quite scary, it's like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. So all of a sudden now you can because you're not spending hundreds of dollars in takeaway food or wasting food through your grocery shop. You're buying food on the way home every night and then by Friday, you got to throw it out because it's, wilted in the fridge or it's gone off. Systems will save you time, save you money, save you stress, and get you a better body composition.
Exactly. It's so true. Speaking of body composition, let's take it back when you had your first experience competing. What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh, it was such an eye-opening experience. I did a 12-week prep and I prep all my clients now on a minimum like 24-week prep because time is your greatest asset and you never want to be coming into the week before a show going, oh, I'm not ready, I'm stressing. Like people think peak week, this magic happens and peak week is like the week leading into the show. If you're not lean enough in peak week, you're not going to be lean enough come show day. Like you need to do the work way before. Peak week is about de-stressing, preening, getting organized, and just enjoying the rest of your experience. So my first show was really interesting. It was with ICN. I could not believe how I looked. Like the first time getting like full glam makeup on, like I'm a bit of a tomboy. I've got two brothers. Getting full glam makeup on and seeing my face, I was just like, how is this me? What the hell? Like, what? The stage was my least favorite part of it, and it always is. Like I'm not a born performer. I don't enjoy the lights and the attention on me. But just to look back and see the photos and getting your full face on and it was just such a glamorous thing. I loved it. I'm more so for the experience of your process, like the prep itself, rather than the stage and the end result. I love the process. I love seeing how your body changes week to week just through consistent effort and following your process. That excites me way more than getting on stage, except getting beautiful, getting the hair and the makeup done and transforming into somebody else that you've never seen before. It can be quite something.
I think the whole experience itself is amazing. As you said, like watching that transformation, not only body comp, but also mindset.
100%. And there's something to be said for competing. From the outside, people can look at it like it could be this, really disordered, can cause really disordered eating or, really poor behaviors and habits. And they can see, just the end result was someone looking really lean and aspire to that, thinking that's the epitome of fitness. But it's actually like the opposite end. It's the opposite end of the fitness spectrum. It's actually really unhealthy to get to that lean, that low levels of body fat. And it's not something that's sustainable or attainable for everybody. And it's not something you want to achieve and then stay there, because it does cause some issues. You're essentially starving yourself to get on stage and be judged in a bikini. But there is something to be said about the process and being able to look at yourself in the mirror, working through your posing routine, and look at yourself with an objective eye rather than this really negative, critical mindset where you pick yourself apart. Oh, I wish I had that. I wish I could change that. Or, when you look at your photos, you're like, you're drawn to one area that's your body hang up. Something to be said for competing, that you can really step away from that and have a bit more of an objective overview of your body. Learn your angles, learn how to stand properly and hold yourself. Where are your good angles? And then know what poses really suit your body. It can transfer over to when you're standing in for photos at a wedding. All of a sudden know how to stand. You're not like cowering in the background, like, oh no, I don't like having my photo taken, because now you know how to stand. I used to walk into girls' bathrooms, if you're on a night out or whatever, and would never look in the mirror. Like if there's a whole heap of girls in the bathroom, I'm like, head down, I'll go to the bathroom, I'm washing my hands, and then I'm getting out. I'm not looking in the mirror. Competing changed that for me, because I was able to look at myself in the mirror and not think, oh gosh, people are going to look at me like I'm arrogant, like I'm checking myself out. It's like, why can't I look in the mirror and look at myself? That was huge.
That's such a mindset shift, because many women struggle with their body image, and especially like having a look at your mirror. And you mentioned that many of us will nitpick at the bits that we don't like, and we need to change that.
Exactly, because there's so many amazing qualities about all of us, and we're all so individual, and we're never going to be perfect. We're always a work in progress, but you can still be really grateful and thankful for the body that you have, and look at yourself and think, yes, I do look good. I love my body. Look what it's able to achieve, rather than focusing on the area that you don't like or you haven't got or that you want to change. I think we can switch that mindset and start to focus on the positives and not the negatives. It will have a huge impact to everything in life, because you're now able to go, do you know what? Yeah, I'm not happy with where I'm at. I still want to grow. I still want to change things, but I can really appreciate where I am now and what my body's done and how it's looking and how it responds to me every single day when I show up and do the work. I think that's quite powerful.
It's very, very powerful. During that time when you competed, when was that switch?
Oh gosh, let me tell you, that took a long time. That took a long time. And it's funny, I think this only comes from experience and time, because you can look back on your stage photos. When you're in your prep and you're a few weeks out from stage, you are like, am I going to be ready? Oh, I've got this fat pouch here. Am I going to get lean enough here? And then when you're like a year out from that, you look back at those photos and you think, what the hell was I thinking? Like, I'm shredded. I've got like a six pack. What fat was I trying to pull off my body? But at the time, your mind is playing tricks on you. So it definitely comes from experience, and the more shows you do, the better aware you become. And I really encourage my girls to get photos done, whether that's stage shots or photo shoots pre or post show. So you've got something to look back on and really appreciate that, 12 months down the line when you can look back and go, wow, that was me. At the time, I probably felt like I could have been better, or I could have done this, and you start to nitpick a little bit. But on reflection, you're like, wow, that was the body that I had for that show. That's incredible. Now what else can I achieve?
I love that. It's so good. And noticing it as more as a progression instead of, a lack of comparison.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, from where I started, I had way back, 10 years ago, I had no bum. I was like flat as a pancake. It's taken me like 8-10 years just to get where I'm at now. Am I happy with the size of my glutes? No, but am I impressed with how far I've come? Absolutely. I'm still going to be continuing to work on that. It's never done. It's a work in progress, but I'm still very appreciative of where my body's come from where I started to where I am now.
It's so good. I love the fact that you mentioned that. You also mentioned before that your first comp was 12 weeks. However, now you comp prep your girls around 20 to 24 weeks. Talk to me through that, because obviously we both know why this is the reason, but maybe some of our listeners won't understand that, because we get sold this idea that you can transform your body within 8 to 12 weeks, which is absolute rubbish. You can get some form of result, but the long-term gains, as you said, time is your best friend. So run me through that.
From my experiences, just having that longer prep allows you time to deal with the unexpected. We've got, when we work out your dieting strategy over a 20 or 24 week period, there's some math involved. All right. So we need to get you to X stage weight. What does that look like in terms of total weight loss? What does that now look like in terms of your calorie deficit a day? And then we have to reverse engineer that. But we're not a calculation. We're all humans, and how we respond to diet and exercise is all going to be very different. So having more time on your hands allows you to manage things that pop up. Perhaps your body doesn't respond how we expect it to. Something happens in life and we've lost a couple of weeks for whatever reason. So we've got the time to deal with that. I also just like being ready ahead of time and not coming into that week before the show stressing, because as soon as you start stressing, it's going to get a little bit harder. So I like to just figure out, okay, what is the end goal? And if they're new to competing, it's their first time, we'll typically look at them, get a DEXA scan, what's your lean mass, what's your fat mass, have an estimated stage weight based on that, and then just reverse engineer that and work it out. It's also good to incorporate things like diet breaks, because dieting is a stressor on the body. Some people can just dig in and go for it. Others can't, and they battle really hard. I'm one of them. Who likes dieting? I don't know. But I know friends that no, it's not an enjoyable process. I've got friends that compete that can really hit it hard for 10, 12 weeks. Wow. I personally can't. My clients can't. And I think having that little mini goal inside a big goal, okay, I know I need to get to this point, and at week 9 we're going to have a diet break, so I've just got to get to week 9. So you can almost break it up. All right, 9-week diet block, 1-week diet break, 9-week diet. Okay, I can do that. Then you just start working backwards. I think it's a better process to have, and I actually run that process whether it's lifestyle or competition prep.
I think that's so important, because too often people will be solely focused on the goal instead of actually, as you mentioned, reverse engineering and going, cool, is this going to actually work for you or not?
Yeah. And for some clients, it would be a longer process. I've got clients that are on board with me right now for, pre-prep phase. So we've got maybe 20 or 30 kilos to lose. And it's well, that's not going to happen in 20 weeks. But this is the big plan. This is what we expect, and this is how long it's going to take you. And this is then broken down as little bite-sized chunks. So we're going to hit this part first. Diet break, we're going to hit this part first. You've got the big picture and the end goal, but we're going to sandwich that into little tiny chunks so it's easy to manage them.
It's so interesting, because many people go into competing or into transformation challenges thinking it's only going to be 12 weeks and that's it, and you get the body of your lifestyle. But then people don't get told about after competing what that looks like. And I'm sure you've come across that with your clients or even your own experience.
Yeah.
There's the work to do post-comp as well.
Oh, sure. Now, post-comp is actually quite a dangerous time, when there's a lot of clients that get left to fend for themselves, and it's the recipe for disaster. Yeah. The show is the first point. That's the main goal. You're going to get to the stage and you're going to do all that, but there's a lot of work you need to do after that, because the habits that you had to get to stage aren't lifestyle habits for you to then maintain a normal, healthy weight outside of that. And there's going to be some psychological things you're going to have to battle with, not being lean, losing your abs, seeing the scales go up. And that's all normal. But trying to figure that out by yourself as a female is really quite terrifying. And if you don't have the support and the guidance there to reverse diet properly, that's when you see a lot of competing girls and guys blow out, which is where you see them gain a lot of weight, 5 to 10 kilos in like 2 to 3 weeks, like very quick. And a lot of people think that the post-comp phase and the post-diet phase is, the window to go celebrate and become a yes girl and say yes to all these things you've said no to for so long, but it's really not, because that's when you can really do some damage and actually accumulate more body weight and more body fat than you started with. So it's important to have a plan once you've achieved the desired outcome, the weight, lifestyle goals to get to that weight, whatever it is, stage, but then also, okay, what's after that and how do I get to a normal weight maintenance with healthy weight maintenance lifestyle habits,
Yeah, I
and
love
that's hard.
it is very hard because I was one of those girls that did rebound and I gained about 5 or 10 kilos and I didn't know what to do. I literally, after the competition, I didn't know what to do differently and I felt so guilty and I ended up with a really negative relationship with food, which is so common, a negative relationship with my body, all this guilt. And yeah, it's crazy to think that it's still very common.
It is, and it's because you've exercised so much commitment, dedication, and consistency for 20 plus weeks getting into the show, that you have to exercise that same level of commitment coming out of that in your reverse diet so you can get to your healthy weight maintenance. If you come to it with the mindset of, right, it's done now, okay, now I can get back to enjoying life, that's where it all just comes undone. Like you really have to, and this weight maintenance phase is hardest because there's nothing sexy about it. We're either on a build or we're on a diet, we're chasing goals. Weight maintenance, there's nothing sexy about maintaining, but it's a really overlooked and important part of your journey, whether you're building or whether you're dieting. But being able to actually maintain a healthy body weight without going up, without going down, and with lifestyle habits that's going to allow you to do, like, maintain that for life, so you're not constantly dieting and building and dieting and building, just being happy.
Yeah, it gets quite exhausting after a while by, just solely focusing on, building, dieting. And like you said, like maintenance is not sexy, but it's so doable. That is your main lifestyle.
Exactly. And that's where you're going to spend the majority of your life. So why not learn the habits to do that? Because in the long run, you'll be way better off, way better off.
What are some things that have helped your clients, to build a little bit more mindset stamina around, the maintenance phase?
Ooh, good question. I think having a plan in place and knowing what that looks like for them. So, if they've lost, 8, 10 kilos to get to stage, it's like, well, what is a healthy, and throughout your prep as well, like they'll flag areas where, like, I'm actually really comfortable here at this weight and on these amount of calories. I feel like this could be a point after the show that I feel like I could sit comfortably, where I'm managing hunger, I'm able to still have flexibility and eat out, and my training's good, I'm sleeping well, I'm recovering well, and I don't feel like I'm having to battle with hunger. And, this is quite a comfortable spot. So we'll have that conversation throughout the process. And then it's knowing, okay, well, we need to get back to that again. So if we've lost 5 kilos from that point, we've got to get back to that point, and walking them through, what does that look like? Your weight's going to increase by how much per week, over what period of time. And then when we get to that, we'll start to now pull back on the tracking and the weighing and get you to become more aware of your habits and your internal hunger and satiety cues. So they can take more of the reins with their nutrition rather than outsourcing that to me, when I can say, okay, now we're dieting, now we're taking this away, now you've got to add this. They're going to start to take more control over that. So it's, again, it's awareness, more control, more ownership. And with that responsibility on themselves, it's like, oh, okay, I can actually do this.
It's gaining that power back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's so important as a coach to be able to teach that to your clients. You don't want to have clients on your books for years and years and years relying on you to tell them what to eat, how to eat, and, whatever else. They need to have the responsibility and the ownership put back on them to maintain that for life. Get to your goal, learn how to maintain that, and away you go.
It's so true. It's so true. It's an interesting one because I don't know about yourself, but many, many years ago when I first started coaching, I was the validator and I was the one who would keep everyone accountable. I would always follow up with clients, always be there, no matter what. But then you just realize how exhausting that gets, not only as a coach, but your clients are not learning to become independent. They're just
Exactly.
literally depending on you all the time. And I think one day I just had this light bulb moment with a client who was literally out for dinner and she could not make her decision on what dinner she would want to, like what meal she should eat. And I was just like, fuck, like have I become this person that people are actually relying on, which is lovely, they're wanting my input and, advice. But at the end of the day, like I want you to be able to make your own decisions. I don't want to be the person making those decisions for you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's confidence building with your clients as well, isn't it? Like throughout my process when my clients, not competition prep, but lifestyle clients, when we are, going through that phase of, okay, this is the end goal, but you're still going to have a life throughout that. You're going to go out for dinner, you're going to do all this stuff. We work through that process, like rather than being, Ella, what should I have? And I'm like, well, what do you like to eat? What do you enjoy? I was thinking about having the salad, and I was like, well, do you want the salad, or are you choosing that because you think is the better option? Like, look at the menu. What do you want to eat? Tell me, and then we'll figure it out. Well, actually, I'd really like the pork belly. Me too, because that sounds bloody delicious. So let's figure out how you can enjoy that pork belly and work around your goals, but having them take the ownership and responsibility of that. I've had those questions from clients too, and I just nip it in the bud nice and early. And I'm like, rather than telling them, which I used to do in my early coaching days, yes, have that. It'd be like, well, what do you think?
Mm.
You're asking me, but what do you think? And then it's usually me just validating them. And like, hey, cool. So next time you're in this situation, you're going to know how to move forward with that and how to answer your own question.
It's so true. And you know what? Most of the time, salads don't even satisfy you.
Oh, who wants to go for dinner and have a salad? You can literally do that at home.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And most of the time, I can't remember where I saw this, but most of the time when we do order salads, we end up, oh my God, what's that saying? I totally forgot. But we end up feeling guilty or shame by choosing like the healthier option. But at the end of the day, you'll end up going home and eating something completely different.
Yeah, exactly. And you're probably eating more calories in the salad than you would have something else because of all the other stuff that's hidden in it.
Yeah, exactly. So true. It's just mind blowing to see how sometimes we get caught up in this old diet mindset as well.
Yeah, but you know what? Things are changing and it's really good to see like more women are spending time at maintenance calories or in a surplus and really, looking to build muscle and fuel their training. And it's nice to see that the diet culture is changing, particularly in Australia. And I think Australia are just like miles ahead of everywhere else. That really are coming from the UK. It really is just miles ahead in terms of where we're at in the fitness industry and how we're doing it. And I think also just around women's health and more awareness around that is changing the diet culture. We're not looking to be skinny. We don't want to eat 900 calories. Who wants to do that? But being able to have a really strong, healthy, active body, lots of muscle, and being able to enjoy food. I mean, how amazing is it to put a client on like 300 grams of carbs?
Oh, goals.
Tell me about it. I can't tolerate that, but I've got clients that can, and it's just like, yes, gonna feed you. It's great.
I love that for clients. And you know what, in retrospect to all the nutrition, at the end of the day, that helps with their hormones as well.
Oh, for sure. And that's the biggest thing. A lot of the hormonal issues women are experiencing can really be fixed through better diet, better nutritional habits, managing stress, literally doing all the boring, non-sexy stuff consistently. And a lot of the hormonal imbalances, the irregular cycles, they'll all fix themselves. Start eating better, eating more, recovering, sleeping, managing stress, and all of the other stuff will just fall away. It really is that simple, but unfortunately that's not sexy. It's not going to get, Instagram clicks and, whatever else, skinny teas and all the other stuff. But yeah, it literally, that's as basic as it is, and it will have some really positive outcomes.
And I think that's a change that needs to start being made as well, it's less worrying about the clicks that we get on Instagram and actually worrying about the fact that are you actually happy within your own skin?
Yeah, exactly. And putting stuff out there and content out there that's actually going to help women rather than, the clickbaity stuff.
Yeah, the 6-8 week transformation.
Oh, I can't. Like, I get it. And I get it, like there's still people out there that can't commit long term to stuff. So the 6 and 8 week challenges is like, the good little motivator to get them in, but they never learn enough. They don't learn enough about the nutritional habits and the lifestyle habits they need to sustain that long term. So I get it. Does it work? No, because you just end up back in the cycle of where you were. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that vicious style of, yo-yo dieting, binge eating, losing your period, being miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
I know. I could go on about that all day, every day. Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Where are you right now in terms of, your own health and fitness? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, I've been maintaining for probably the last year or so, or definitely for this year. I've been healthy, maintaining, a kilo either way, and practicing informed eating. So I haven't tracked my diet in a very long time. I've learned the skills necessary to be able to navigate that without my fitness pal. Breaking up with my fitness pal after my first 500-day streak was like a few years back, was like, oh no, I can't do it. But you can break up with my fitness pal. It's okay. You'll have control. And just training. I'm looking to get back into some solid pre-prep phase coaching. I'm on the hunt for a coach, and there's some coaches out there I'm looking at for my pro debut in October 2023. So I turned pro in 2019 and then haven't been on stage since. Thanks, COVID, I think. Yeah. And so just took this year to focus on the business and focus on my clients. So next year I'll hit the pro stage. So yeah, I'll be spending the next year in prep for that.
I love that. That's so exciting. Do you have many clients that are in their, late 30s, early 40s going into competing as well?
Yeah, most of my client intake is around that age bracket. I think I just attract that woman, and that's great. I think I can understand her better than a male coach or a younger coach, to understand the changes that she's experiencing with hormones and things. So and I actually, there's something to be said for the 35 plus categories. The women they dominate. They're just such hard workers, and when they've got the right process in place, the changes that they can experience are phenomenal. Absolutely. Yeah.
And especially for women experiencing perimenopause, because this whole taboo going, once you hit perimenopause and menopause, your life just goes like downhill. It's just like, not really.
No, and it doesn't have to be. And I think with menopause as well, it just like menstrual cycles, it's a taboo subject that is getting spoken about a little bit more. And it does need to be spoken about a little bit more, because every single woman on the planet at some stage is going to transition into perimenopause and menopause. And we know nothing about it because older generations didn't talk about it, because you're not supposed to. But let's open up the conversations. It doesn't need to be this feared experience, and it doesn't need to be looked upon as this is just going to happen to us and we have to accept it. There's absolutely things that we can do, particularly in our 30s and early 40s, to set ourselves up right for that transition into menopause. It doesn't mean you're going to hit a certain age and you're just going to get fat. And it doesn't mean that you're just going to have all of these symptoms that you've probably heard of: the night sweats, the hot flashes, the mood swings, the anger. There's things that we can do early to better manage this next phase of life. And again, it comes down to our habits with training, with nutrition, with sleep, with stress, with hormones, with having a regular menstrual cycle. If you can get all that stuff, all your ducks in a row early, you're going to have a better transition into menopause. And you're going to know, because you're more aware of your body and your changes and your symptoms, what's changed when you're actually starting to transition into perimenopause. And if your symptoms are really bad, where it affects your quality of life, go and seek out the right help from, a practitioner that's well versed in menopause that could potentially, help out with HRT if that's something that's an option for you. But yeah, it doesn't need to be a feared thing. It's going to happen to us. We just need to know how to manage it.
Yeah. Again, that goes back to, us being taught about our period, how it's all a fear mongering, and it's the same with perimenopause and menopause, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's really sad as well. If you're in a position where you can talk to your mother, like my mum passed away like a fair few years ago now, but if you're in a position where you're still in contact with your mum, talk to her about her experience. How was her menstrual cycle? When did she transition to perimenopause? What were her symptoms? When did she actually finally hit menopause? What was her age? Because if Lifestyle factors are kind of the same, similar. You can expect to kind of experience something similar to what she did. So if you can have that conversation with her, at least you're going to, start the ball rolling with knowing, okay, so maybe I need to be a little bit more aware around my mid 40s that, well, my mum experienced this, so maybe there's a chance for me too.
Yeah, it's interesting. And a lot of women don't actually factor that in, but it's such an important point for girls, well, for women to understand, the cycle of their mothers and, the generations before that as well.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good, like I say, it's going to happen to us. It doesn't have to be feared, but I think again, with awareness, you're better prepared for it. And it's just being prepared for it, okay, well, rather than it just, you're waking up one morning going, what the hell is wrong with me? I don't feel like myself, and feel like you're going through this by yourself. If you're aware of what's to come, you can, make more informed decisions about what you can do about it to manage it.
It's all about that informed information.
Exactly. And I think for just too long, we've just sat back and gone, oh, no, I'm not going to deal with it. It's, brushing under the carpet when, we'll figure it out eventually. And then we never do.
Well, it's changing. Well, we're changing it anyway.
Yeah, I keep doing it.
I know, right? Just making more women aware of their bodies and how these changes are actually not a burden on them. It's just part of life, and you can maintain it in a really healthy manner.
Absolutely. And that they're not going through this by themselves. Like, what you're experiencing is not just singular to you. We're all experiencing it. We're just not talking about it.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so glad we're finishing on that point, because that's something that I actually taught last week about body image. And a lot of girls are like, what? You have cellulite? Are you, do you feel insecure about your legs as well? It's just like, yeah, we're all here on the same page, guys. It's not just me. It's not just you. And making women realize, and the more we talk about it, it makes them feel a little bit more connected, going, oh, it's not just me. I'm not, the weird one or the odd one out.
It's normal. It's normal to have cellulite. It's normal to have a fat roll when you sit down. It's normal. It's normal to have a period.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so glad we had this conversation today. Seriously, like, some of our listeners are going to be like, oh my God, it's not just me. It's
yay. So glad.
I love that. So good. Thank you so much for jumping on today. I've literally had such a good conversation with you. I think we've opened a lot of ears for women, and also their minds to start diving a little bit deeper into, the understanding of their hormones, but body composition as well.
Yeah, good. And that's it. If we can just, through having these conversations, get more women to, spark an interest in learning a little bit more and going, oh, well, actually, yeah, okay, that makes more sense for me now. And then want to learn more, go research a little bit more, go find the Instagram pages to follow that are going to help them understand that. Then that's great. That's all we can do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Instagram pages, where can our listeners find you? What social platforms are you on?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram at Ella Martyn, Martyn, and Ella Martyn Coaching. Probably more active on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I'm trying to figure it out. I'm, mid-30s.
Aren't we all?
Far out. I think that's like Ella Martyn 1. I don't know. And then on Facebook as well, but Instagram probably more so.
I love it. So good. Well, girls, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure that you screenshot it, tag us at the Women's Fitness Academy, tag myself, tag Ella. And then till next time, start building a little bit more awareness around your body, because you want to be claiming that power back and having more independence around the decisions that you're making.
Absolutely.
Love that. Catch you next time, girls.